And we are live with episode 108 of the Start Build Grow Show. Randy Brothers, my friend, what's going on? How we doing?
What is up, Nick? You're on hiatus, working remotely. I'm
Yeah,
slightly
man.
jealous. I'm still
I
here
know you
stuck in
are.
this office that I've been stuck in for months now. It feels like because of COVID, but life is somewhat getting back to normal. So we have another awesome show on tap. Really cool
Mm-hmm.
update from a really cool company that man, all of a sudden you're starting to see them all over the place, and we're getting a lot of cool things happening. So I'm really excited to kind of hear what's going on. As you know, this show is all about entrepreneurship, and we're going to share a really cool entrepreneurial journey that's literally happening as we speak, which is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really excited to continue the story of my longtime friend, Mr. Garrett Kurtt, as well as Swanson.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty stoked for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Make sure to share this out. Comments, questions, likes, thoughts. We want as much involvement as we can get. The more the merrier. You can tease us, make fun of us all you want. That's fine, as long as it's
Mm-hmm.
directed towards Nick. And for those of you
Mm-hmm.
listening on the
Fair.
podcast, thank you for joining us. And make sure
Yeah.
to subscribe. Click the little button to subscribe at the end.
Yeah. So Garrett, how long have you known this guy, this Randy Brothers?
Gosh, it's been has it really been since 2009, Randy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, just randomly bumped
2009.
into you in
Yeah.
2009. Like, hey, you're in roofing. Well, I'm in roofing. You're selling. I'm selling. Let's hang out.
Let's hang out. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys both were in sales then
Really,
at that point?
yeah, really. I just, when I joined the company and he was working with the same company, and as I was just green, I didn't know anything about the business at that point, and my
Yeah.
objective was I wanted to find this, what's the old rule, like find the smartest person in the room, or the best. So I looked, sought out who are the best performers, some of the people just crushing
Mm-hmm.
the sales game, and I wanted to learn from them. And Garrett just stood out, man. He's just a lot smarter than me, and I wanted to learn from him and learn the tricks of the trade. And it's been just a fun
Yeah.
journey ever since, as both of us are kindred spirits on the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
side of things, and just always looking for ways to improve our industry and then entrepreneurial opportunities. And here we are, what, 10, 11 years in the making, and we're coming back full circle and supporting each other's businesses, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Randy, I remember meeting Randy back then, and I think I just got back from Texas. I was down for Hurricane Ike, and I'm like, I heard about this hailstorm in Colorado, and I've always wanted to go back to Colorado. I was a ski bum out of college, and I just wanted to come back, and anything I could get to get back there would be an excuse. And sure enough, the hailstones started falling, and I decided to take that long drive from Houston. And I swear, I think we met within 24 hours of me getting there. I was probably still shaking from getting off the roofs in Houston. They're like 12-12s, and then you get to Colorado, and like everything's walkable. It's just like amazing. So, but yeah, it's been a great journey, and I'm glad to be here supporting you guys, and thanks for the support for us too.
Yeah, likewise.
So, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, Garrett, I mean, who was selling more roofs, though? I mean, it sounds like you were the smarter guy in the room, but who was selling more roofs, though?
So I was lower volume, but higher dollar amounts. That I would go.
Okay.
Yeah, I had more of the
less
technical
projects.
sales. What's that?
Okay, so less projects, but more more money, though. Okay.
And I definitely would squeeze a little more profit out of those things, so I could afford more steaks. A couple more steaks is what I could afford.
Right. So, okay, so how did you just get into the space? What's your background? How did you get into roofing?
I stumbled across it. I didn't even know what insurance restoration was, let alone roofing. I'm a typical. I brought up, obviously high school, got to go to college, got to get a degree. That degree is going to, tell you where you're going to go and where you're going to work. And, these big companies are what you want to go work for. I just happened to work for a very large company at now fortunate time. I'd never do anything differently, but it was the 2008 recession, and I was the lowest man on the totem pole. I had an amazing job working for a construction materials company, and they let me go. And I just vowed never to work for the man again. And from there, I just decided to double down on myself and invest in myself. Entrepreneurship right there. And I ended up going down to Iowa. Well, back up a second. I ended up saying, I'm going to start a power washing company. Now, that is not sexy just by any means, but I made it a commercial power washing company in Minnesota. And that was going to be doing a lot of fun stuff on exteriors of commercial buildings. I just happened to have the right equipment come a summer of 2008. And my grandparents said, hey, listen, we got flooded pretty significantly down here. And one was on the west side and the other was on the other. And they said, come on down and help us. And that's where I got my start. So I got my start in flood restoration. And then from there, flood cleans up pretty quick. And Hurricane Ike down in Texas hit in October of 2008. And that's where I went thinking that I was going to do more of the same. But I had to pivot real quick because there's no basements in Houston, Texas. It's just slabs. And so that's how I got it.
Interesting. So now you're in roofing. You're doing roofing sales then at that point?
Yeah. I ran into a fast talker out of Texas. He talked faster than I did. It was surprising. And he had a lot of leads coming in, organic, just people in his town. And he said, go run them. And I went from running leads to selling jobs, to estimating jobs, to ordering materials, running the crews, to supplementing, working with a mortgage company, and then paying the crews, and then even to the point where I was actually paying the invoices to the supply houses. So I was literally doing it all. And that was I would say that was probably the most intense training in 6 months that you could ever ask for, literally running a business. Except I wasn't being paid as running a business. How's that?
Right. So then at that point, something taking your mind where you're like, hey, this isn't it? Or what was kind of the next step in this career?
Well, I think there's always more to learn, constantly learn every day. Like yesterday was, looking back at it, yesterday was a difficult day. I'm sorry. Yesterday was a difficult day during that point in time. Looking back today, it actually wasn't that bad. And so every day goes by and I'm always learning, always growing. And I think, what I could say is that it's just something that is always strive to become a better version of myself and always keep on learning to keep on growing. And that's just an opportunity that was given to me. And from that point, I'm like, hey, listen, let's just keep on learning. I haven't learned it yet. I could have gone on my own at that time, but I think that was a little more arrogant and I probably would have not learned as much as I did because when I got to Colorado, different market, different people, different ways to sell, different materials. I mean, there was a lot of things to learn, the nuances that could have got me in a lot of trouble. I learned underneath someone else's dime, meaning I work for someone.
So do you think that's a good way then for roofing contractors to get going to make sure that they're maximizing the opportunity with another company? A situation where it's like, hey, learn as much as you can before going and starting your own thing? Or what's your thoughts on people who might want to go eventually at some point start their own business?
I'm a big fan of being having an apprentice. So, I think it was, I forget the famous name that said this, but if you had 10 hours to chop a tree down, you would spend the first 6 hours sharpening your knife or sharpening your axe to chop it down. Right. And so I feel it's the same way is that you go work for somebody. You are going to learn things that you otherwise wouldn't have exposure to or experience thereof that are going to save you from the mistakes that you would otherwise make. And you can actually make more significant and more severe and costly mistakes, just trying to bypass that. And don't get me wrong, I think we can all go out when we're ready, and that's all. It's a personal choice. But ultimately, I'm a big fan. I spent 2.5 years underneath the wing of other people and being the best that I could during that time and growing constantly. And that gave me the ability to, when I got out of there, I literally went straight up and I went after commercial big claims. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. I didn't just kind of slowly go there. I just went like this. So I'm a fan, proponent of working for others and really showing that appreciation for the people that, that took the time to train you, that took the time to invest in you.
That's some awesome advice there. I mean, some of us who are more, I'm more like a bull in a china shop, just jump off the bridge and build my wings as I'm on the way down, or dive in the water and build my boat while I'm swimming, and I've learned, right? But you have to have that ability to learn and grow every day, learn from your mistakes. But there is a little bit of a rite of passage that some of us, like myself, tend to try to take the path of least resistance, and it sometimes it'll hold you back a little bit from accelerating. You're forced back into reality of, hey, you really need to learn this crap first. So find a great someone to learn from, find a mentor, that's why a lot of us are doing this. And that's why I do coaching, and is to try to share and help people on along that journey to go like this instead of blah, 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 and then go there, So, but let's get around to, we obviously have another guest as well. So I'm gonna lead it on you, waiting patiently there, and
yes,
give us the introduction, Garrett, because obviously this is a new thing, and I wanted to have you dive more into the story of, where getting OneClickCode started and where you guys are now. But obviously you're growing and bringing on more people, and things are happening. So go ahead and do the introduction for us.
Sure. So, we have a team and it's growing, and Stephanie is the newest part of that team. And, she started about a week and a half ago. It just happened to be right when our other newest member, Jessie Gunteski, just went out on maternity leave. So as she's going out, Stephanie's coming in, and Stephanie's doing a great job. She's going to be in charge of sales and operations. And so what she'll be focusing on for us is we have now recently just converted into a paid model. And so we have individual subscriptions, as well as we're working on team subscriptions and whatnot. And that's going to be time consuming for us to make sure that we give the same customer service to even the individual all the way up to the enterprise level. And so she's going to be part of that team. So Stephanie, welcome.
Hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we got you.
So
what do you think of this Garrett Kurtt guy?
I'm sorry?
What do you think of this Garrett Kurtt guy? How has Ben dealing with him so far?
Oh my gosh, this guy's a force. Holy cow.
He's a force?
No, yeah. I swear I've learned more about roofing in 1 week than I ever thought I would know. So
yeah, right.
It's super
I love
cool,
it.
though. Yeah, he's a force. He's definitely a visionary. He cares a ton about what he's doing, and it's really empowering to be part of a company where your end goal is to help, and the vision pushes all the way through for that. So I feel very proud to call OneClick my new home.
Cool.
Yeah, well, welcome, and thanks for joining us today, Stephanie.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's tell your story a little bit. What's your background, and how did you find your way working in the roofing space?
Yeah, it's an interesting journey. I come from a corporate event planning background, so I have planned events from 5 people to 750 all over the state of Colorado. And it was by chance, a really positive connection that Garrett and I both had, who connected us, and here we are now. So I'm able to take my skill set from the project management of these huge programs, which have multiple components, which, can parallel into this industry. So it's taking what I know, my successes, and just only amplifying the success that OneClick has, I hope.
I love it. Well, welcome to roofing too.
Yeah, it's never thought I'd be here, but it's awesome.
Roofing is not a job, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can ask if you're watching, let's get some comments on that or listening to this. We joke around about it, but once you get into the roofing space, it becomes a lifestyle. It's not like, I'm going to come in and out of roofing. No, when you get roofing, you're there. You're not going anywhere.
It's a calling. I think it's a calling. I mean, I would have left if it wasn't a calling, right? If I didn't, the money's there, but if you don't have that purpose line of being able to just continue forward in a meaningful and purposeful way of providing services, that, I think it's really a calling. There's a job, there's a career, and there's a calling. And I think I've found it for myself, at least, a calling.
Yeah, I'd say roofing found me, and it's helping me fulfill my destiny, and in multiple ways. So it's a great industry. And for those of you who are new to the industry, welcome. For those of you who've been in a little while, welcome again. Congratulations, you're still here.
You're not going anywhere. Yeah. You're not going anywhere. So Garrett, so back to OneClick Code, right? You've been talking about you feel like there's a purpose within the roofing space, right? And you like the space. When did OneClick Code actually come about, or when did that idea, I guess, get stimulated in the brain?
So I think it just happened to be, over time, like I was probably about 8 years in. I'm like, okay, so I've learned how to supplement. I've learned how to do permitting and ordering and get all these different methods to be able to master the start to finish, start, build, collect, supplement, whatever it is, do it all from start to finish very, very efficiently. But I kept on running into these things, which is there's so much time being spent dealing with supplementing to the insurance company to get paid what you should be paid, right? Not having to argue. And they treat you as if every time you're talking to them is like, we're building a new trust line here, guys. So you're sending me an estimate. I don't know you. So we have to build trust. And I don't really know what you're putting in your estimate. I may not take the time to read your estimate. And I may just tell you a blanket no, or I may tell you yes to certain things. And you may have to work to get my attention to make sure I can get everything into that estimate. And I feel as as someone that's done a lot of those things, I kind of felt like, how can we just remove more of the friction, or remove friction from this process? And that is, understanding building codes. And I really started to see that price discrepancies with a lot of our estimates had to deal with building codes. If I could remove that, I could remove half of my arguments. And if I could remove half of my arguments, I could increase my profits. I could actually, sell more jobs. I can make my salespeople that much easier to train, because I don't have to train all these nuances. And so I thought, hey, listen, if someone's going to do it, it's going to be me. So no one's done it yet. If it was easy, someone would have done it already. And so people thought I was crazy, 3 years ago for doing it. And we set out as a team. And by the way, it's not just me that did it. It was my vision. It's the team that did it. And thank you, they stood behind me. And we came up with an ability to be able to identify just not a database of building codes across the country, but the understanding of how to identify jurisdiction. So jurisdiction, where do you pull a permit, right? And a lot of people don't know this, but 45% of the properties within the United States, because they all get assigned a address, actually fall outside of the city that's listed in the postal address. So that means that if you rely on the city by itself within an address, you will be wrong 45% of the time, because it's not actually in that city. So you could have the building codes for all the cities in the country, but if you don't have the ability to identify jurisdiction, you will be wrong 45% of the time. And that could be a swing of like 20% in an estimate. That could be the swing in, being able to get paid and, go out for a couple of steak dinners. It could be, it really is an impact on the bottom line.
100%. So let's get deeper into that, with the jurisdiction matters. I know that was a big talking point for you. So can you share a little bit more and expand a little bit more onto that as well?
Yeah. So, we didn't really realize that we were talking to some pretty big hitters in our industry, and they said, Garrett, it'd be great if you could actually identify the jurisdiction. And we're like, oh, sure. Well, we have a database of all the building codes. Let's do that. And, what we uncovered was a much bigger problem that no one has really ever really uncovered, which is, jurisdiction. Well, we know jurisdiction, like where do you get a permit? Because that's you got to pull a permit there. But we didn't know how vast this problem was across the country. I thought it was just isolated to Colorado, but it's everywhere. I mean, you can have little villages and townships, and then you can have cities that are the same name as the township, right? And it's confusing. You may be there. And so as a local contractor, like, I'm here in my town, I know these things inside out. But people that are coming in from, say, Allstate, American Family, or whatever it is to help estimate these claims, they don't know. And so we are really there to help both parties remove the friction and create that trust to where they can actually get past it and move on to other things and talk about more important things. Hopefully, like other parts of the supplements, other parts of coverage, meaning like, is the roof going to be repaired or replaced type of thing.
So Randy, what were you doing to find roofing codes before OneClick Code?
We had someone in our office. This was pretty sophisticated, but every 6 months or so, we had a long list, because in our market alone, what is it, like 50 different jurisdictions, and we had someone who we had them all listed on a spreadsheet, and we literally had to either go online or call them to get the update. Like, did you update to this code? Did you add ice and water? Did you not add ice and water? Is it drip edge? Is it not drip edge? And things change all the time. It's like, you can get caught off guard. So we just had to, put it as part of our business requirements with one of our, team members to do this every 6 months. Like, here, all right, spend a week calling every jurisdiction to update this code sheet that we used to have. And it was a lot of legwork. Or what most people do, they didn't even go to that level. They would just, here's a job, let me call and find out. And how much wasted time is that? Like having to check 4 different jurisdictions, go on different websites who aren't updated, or who knows who's even answering the phone, even do they even know, right?
Right.
So it was definitely cumbersome, but yeah, that's how we did it. It was pretty archaic, but.
And that's not just him.
Okay.
I mean, I would say everybody does that. I mean,
Yeah.
until we started this program, that's how it was done.
Yeah, and there was luckily in our market, I mean, we got a great like association. The Colorado Roofing Association is a great organization that I've been a part of for a long time, and we are big supporters of, and I know Garrett is as well. And they used to do this as well. So they would update their lists every year or so, but it wasn't always updated. So then it's like we're like, well, this list's not updated, so we're just going to do it ourselves to make sure it's more accurate. So there was resources there in our market, which we're grateful for, but it was still a lot of work, and Garrett has now not only solved that for us, but for the whole country. And I was one of the ones, like, I remember talking to you very early on in this. I'm like, how the heck are you going to get, if our market alone is like this many 50 or more jurisdictions, how the heck are you going to get data to support and stay updated all the way across the country? And he's like, I'll figure it out. And lo and behold, this man
we figured it out.
That is awesome, man. Well, okay, so let's dive into another big talking point then, right? So I know this is a big deal, is how can people create, real defendable estimates?
I think that's kind of the crux of what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to provide the ability for contractors and adjusters to be able to write defendable estimates. So if you think about this, Xactware is the program that is accepted within the industry. So that's an accepted method to be able to use to estimate. But what people disagree is on the output is the cost, and the deciding factor of that cost is line items within that. So they have a method and a platform to be able to estimate, but we disagree on everything else. So what we can do to create a defendable estimate is, how can you defend each line item? It's not just the estimate itself, it's how do you defend the line items? And some ones are like remove and replace roof. You don't need to defend that. You have Eagle View for the square measurements on and off. Waste factor is, pretty standard now. But the point is, when it comes to code, how do you defend those code items? And that is a daunting task. And so what we want to do is be able to provide the additional assistance to create a defendable estimate, or a more defendable estimate, by saying all these line items, including code, are defended by this. And therefore, that creates a defendable estimate. It may not be 100% accurate, because that's a user input issue, but at least they can defend it. And if you can defend it, then it's more accepted. Meaning, so an adjuster and a contractor get on a roof, and the contractor says, these are codes. And then the adjuster says, I don't pay for codes up front. And now there's contention between the two, because you should or you shouldn't, right? You should or shouldn't, but there's no definitive answer of what you should do and if you did do it, right? And so what we want to do is be able to empower the adjusters to make those decisions on site, include those codes in there. And if they don't, they can actually cite something saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to put it in here because here's what OneClick says. This is the research I did very quickly. And if you can show me otherwise, I'd be more than happy to look at it. But I think we're good right now. I'm not going to talk anymore about these code items because I have proof that says it's one way or the other. Let's move on to the next topic. They can that's their way of defending what they're doing. And at the end, when they give that homeowner that check, right? I mean, the homeowner's getting a check from the adjuster. They will really want to be able to go home and know that they did a great job. I think everybody does want to know that. It's not just, roofers or contractors. There's no good or bad. It's just people just want to be able to know that they did the best job they could on every single claim or every single job. And going home, and they know they serve their customer. And their customer ultimately is the homeowner. And, just being able to provide a defendable estimate is to lower that contention, to lower that friction, and to be able to be more on the same page and build the trust. And with trust comes more commitment, meaning, if you and I start having rapport, you're going to trust me for things. And by trust, you may give me things and agree to things more easily or with less resistance. If I have proof and documentation to back that up, it's a much easier transaction. It's no different from the sale of a homeowner to a sale of an adjuster. And I think that just being able to defend your estimate allows that credibility to shine through. And therefore, you get that commitment on the other end, which is dollars.
And I like that you said that it's kind of like a sale. Oh, go ahead, Randy. Go take off now.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to talk about, I like the way that you mentioned, selling to the adjuster as well. And I want this for both you guys here. What are some of the issues that you guys are seeing contractors make? with the relationship with the adjuster that is causing them to lose lots of money?
You go for Andy. I'll go next.
From a contractor perspective, we talk about this a lot, but like there's still a human to human element here. Okay, one human communicating with another human to try to solve a problem and take care of a mutual client, mutual customer. We both ultimately have the objective to try to make our customer whole, right? Yeah. And I think it's how you go about that dialogue and that interaction is going to dictate how that relationship is going to be throughout the entire process. So people come onto the roof making demands. This is what's right. I want this. I want this. I want this. This is what's supposed to do, like contradicting and making, the other person have a hard time to do their job, which they're being paid to do. You're going to meet resistance, so aggression is going to be met with defensiveness and or resistance. So what it's really all about, from my perspective of just grinding out, selling roofs, meeting with adjusters, it's make a friend, like try to find some sort of connection and try to, again, like you said, build that trust up to where you have a mutual respect for one another's ability to do their job and one another's appreciation for how professional you are within your role within this interaction. And that's laying that baseline, I feel, is going to give you a much better chance and much better, process throughout the interactions you're going to have with this person. That's my like surface level thought of it from just being on the front lines of selling roofs. Now I want to hear Garrett's perspective of being really a much deeper level of dealing with them on the phone over and over and over doing supplements, because there's two different perspectives. The salesperson is going to do what they can on the front end to lay the foundation, but oftentimes a salesperson isn't necessarily the one making the phone calls, waiting on hold for hours to try to get the claim settled with, which ultimately happens is a claim may go to multiple people throughout the process. So there's two different perspectives here. And I think, again, both of them really have to do with the human to human, treating each other with dignity and respect is going to go a long way.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. From my perspective, I think it's as simple as, we're constantly selling or being sold to. I think Grant Cardone said that, but I mean, it really is really true. And so I really look at the sale to the adjuster. I'm selling to the homeowner. You could argue you're not really selling, right? So let's just reverse that a little bit. So we are selling to the adjusters and contractors. However, I don't feel I'm selling. What I'm doing is I feel like I'm making their life easy. I make their life easy. They have the power to make my life easy. Homeowner, life easy. They agree to use me as their contractor. Adjuster, they agree to pay what I'm asking for as part of my estimate. That's a win-win. So if I am able to then have them believe in what I'm saying and have trust in which they believe that I can do a good job in the construction, and I'm being accurate in my estimate, my life becomes very easy, and so does theirs. And I think you can do a parallel to that. Let's look at like Eagle View. When roof measurements were done by hand and they started moving towards the aerial measurements, some of the adjusters would say, listen, I'm going to go up and chalk it up. You go order the Eagle View. And when I get done, we're going to write this estimate up. I mean, if you did not get that Eagle View for them, what did you do? You caused additional friction for them to go measure that roof. And I'm not saying they wouldn't have bought the roof or they would or wouldn't, but the point is that working together and being collaborative is key. And with our product for OneClick, when we provide the documentation to the adjuster, we also can provide that as a contractor to the homeowner. So the homeowner actually buys in and says, wow, up until this point, I did not know what a roof was. And now I know that you need these items as part of that roof construction. I know you're going to ask the adjuster, Mr. Johnson is going to now back up the contractor to support that contractor in getting those supplements. You just now have an advocate because they now understand what you're asking for very clearly because it is code. Just going a little bit deeper. I mean, if you can make it easy, I mean, I don't know how many people have bought a car. You would think car buying is super easy. But you still have to do a lot of paperwork. If they could just make it so easy, I would go maybe buy cars more often. I'm not saying I have the money to it, but I might just go do it. And so it's like, when you're making a purchase, how can you remove that friction? Because in fact, that adjuster is making a purchase. That homeowner is making a purchase. And I would like to be able to remove or eliminate as much friction as possible.
I like that. So, okay. So, the OneClick Code is available in iOS, right? You can get it on Google Play, and you can do it all from your phone, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So what can people all expect to report? Because I'm on your website now. It looks like you guys have a variety of things that are available in the report. Talk about a little bit about that and why you decided to include some of those features.
Sure. So we are all about helping contractors create defendable estimates, as well as knowing their customer more intimately. And so some of that has to do with code. Some of that just has to do with just some basic information. So dealing with code, we feel like based on our understanding, there's about 4 key items that account for 80% of the supplements. Now, not dollar amounts, but frequency. And that is drip edge, underlayment, ice and water shield, and valley liner. And so we are able to identify whether that's a yes or no. We also go one step further, and we provide a manufacturer report that kind of piggybacks on top of the building code. And for those out there that don't know this, the building code does refer and says, hey, listen, if the building code is silent on a particular item, we ask and we also require that the manufacturer specifications become the building code. And so we're obviously understand that. So we actually piggyback off of, so like for instance, in Minnesota, drip edge is not required in residential. However, some of the shingle manufacturers do require drip edge. And so therefore you can pull a report from us for an address and then add on the manufacturer that you will use. And that will direct you on whether you will be installing drip edge or not based on the code or based on the manufacturer specs. We have another slew of data points all the way from R values for commercial and residential. One of the key things that people don't know, Exactware does not provide you with a address-specific sales tax. Just like jurisdiction, sales tax flows between multiple cities and counties. And it changes. And so what we have done is we have been able to identify the sales tax specific to that house. And surprisingly enough, that is wrong a lot of times too. And a lot of contractors may default to the highest or to the lowest or whatever it may be. But unless you're accurate, you don't know. And that's money being left on the table. In terms of helping our users become more intimate in knowing their customer, we do offer Zillow data just so they know the size of the house, the age of the house, and the age of the house can go a long ways too, because before 1970 and let's say 1965, those are redecks. Those are valuable. You know, if they have not been redecked, they need to be redecked. And so that gives you insight immediately if you're typing in an address as using our app in terms of the age. It gives you quick access to Zillow too. And so we have some other data too, and it just adds, it keeps on adding, and we're planning to add more data as well.
Very cool.
The most important one, I think, is that we recently added a PDF. So when Ice and Water Shield is required, we actually have a button where you can actually view the PDF where it actually shows you from the city or county that Ice and Water Shield is required. So we provide proof now to help support when we say yes to Ice and Water Shield.
And in terms of, I mean, we don't want to get too into the weeds here, but just in terms of like monetary, it isn't about like getting anything over on anybody. It's literally about getting what you're supposed to get the roof done the way it's supposed to be done, right? And the insurance company is obligated to pay that, but it's just a lack of knowing, right? They either don't know, they don't know the code, they don't know the jurisdiction, and their default is I'm just going to put what I think is right and leave it up to the roofer to call me out or to prove that I'm wrong, right? Yeah. And this is a tool to help you do that. But with those 4 code items, I mean, we're talking a large percentage of every single job that a lot of contractors are missing out on or not getting paid appropriately for these items, you know. So you're talking a lot of money I mean, it could be like $1,000 a roof on average or more that these 4 items are contributing to, that you're paying for the labor, you're paying for the materials, but you're not getting paid from the insurance claim. So I mean, for a minor investment, a very minimal investment, like you're greatly, you know, increasing the top line and the bottom line of your business.
Yeah.
So okay, so if people want to, go ahead, Randy.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, obviously we do appreciate you guys' support in supporting the show. The show wouldn't be possible without without our vendors, without our sponsors of the show. So we want to give a good big shout out to our headline sponsor, Job Nimbus, as well. So Job Nimbus is a CRM system that you can build your whole infrastructure on as a roofing company and grow and scale with them. They're integrated with a ton of other softwares, and it's an amazing program to check out. So give big shout out to them. The show wouldn't be possible without them, without OneClick Code, as well as the Roofing Academy. So if you want to check out the Roofing Academy, check us out at theroofingacademy.com, or check out Code at OneClickCode.com, or you can check out Job Nimbus at JobNimbus.com. If you're listening to the podcast, or if you check the email, or you're watching live, all those links are going to be there for you. Thank you so much for all the sponsors, and we appreciate your contribution. And for contractors, we wouldn't bring a sponsor on that we didn't think was going to greatly help you grow your business, because after all, this is the Start, Build, Grow show. It's all about growing your business. It's all about entrepreneurship. So definitely take a look
at that.
Sponsors.
Yeah, we got Melissa. She says, this sounds amazing and so helpful. We need an OSHA version as well. LOL. So
then asbestos abatement, and then we got we keep on going. It's endless. But yeah.
Maybe that's next. Who knows, right? So Garrett, so let's say that somebody is listening to the show and they're not on your platform yet. How do we get on? What does this look like?
Yeah,
let's go to Stephanie for that one.
Oh, there we go.
Let's put her on the
Stephanie,
spot.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's a very tiny moment. I like it.
I'm a contractor. I want to get involved with OneClick Code. What's my process?
What do I do? Well, you figure out which phone you've got. So you've got Android or iOS. You go to your app store. You have gotten a great recommendation from a buddy. So you're going to Google or search OneClick Code, and you're going to download the app. And right now we're doing 5 free trials. So you're going to plug in your address, the one that you want to figure out, and you're going to download this code report, and then it's going to be awesome. And you're going to be like, I'm so glad I did this. Look how easy this is. Let me talk to my adjuster buddy. He's going to think it's awesome. And you're going to tell him how to download it. And then after your 5 free trials, we're hoping that you sign on and then spread the word, because it's great.
Yeah, I love it.
I love
it.
It's great.
You got a saleswoman over here, man.
Yeah, pretty good for being
She's about to be slanging.
A weekend.
Yeah, right.
I told you I'd pick up quick.
She's about to be slinging some OneClick Code, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much. I love it. So, all right. Well, so what else? What else is going on with OneClick Code, my friend? Any other kind of news we want to share with us, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we did turn on the spigot in terms of, it's now paid, and we've had a really good positive feedback. It's surprising. We do offer a larger discount. We offer a discount if you pay in advance for the full year. We just didn't think everybody would do that, but surprisingly, we're like 65 or 70% of the people are paying in advance, which means that just shows the value that they're already getting. And I didn't even tell them we're going to raise the prices later, but I mean, they're already doing it. So, that is a great accomplishment for us. We feel like, we built something and we started charging and people actually want to pay for it. It's pretty cool. We also have in the process, I can't tell you the names, but we have, 3 pilots in process right now with major insurance carriers, just to show you that, when this is going to be adopted, this will become part of how they adjust claims. So meaning that the value it will increase. You use our product, it will substantiate what you're doing. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's kind of like Eagle View, like if you give me an Eagle View, hand measurements don't suffice anymore. Give me an Eagle View and I'll pay based on Eagle View measurements. That's kind of what we want to do. We want to be that, that trusted source as well as the industry leader. We are working on a couple integrations right now with some big estimating platforms that you guys have probably heard of. We are still in the works, but as we do that, I'll give you guys the first notice that we're launching through their platforms.
I love it. Mike said here, he says, "Hey guys, I got to invest some time and learn more about OneClick Code." Hey, my friends, go OneClickCode.com and check it out.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, guys, when we're gonna bring this thing slowly to a close here. Well, I always like to end it with a golden nugget, right? Where I want you to take your information, your knowledge, your time in the industry, and give a gold nugget to the people out there listening that you think can make an impact on their business, right? And I start with Randy now because he's just full of all these golden nuggets. It's really incredible. So I want you to share them with the world. So if you don't mind starting us out, Randy, what do you got for us today, my friend?
I love that I appreciate that you think I have some golden nuggets out there. After 108 episodes, you'd think that I would lose steam, but maybe I'm really good at BSing because I'm a salesman. I don't know. Never mind. Nevertheless, one thing, and I like to take something that I observed and learned from the show, and I really liked what Garrett said earlier about, finding someone to learn from, and finding a mentor, and kind of stepping outside your comfort zone to humble yourself, to know that you don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm not going to know everything. So what I want to do is challenge everybody out there. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you want to grow your business, you want to build something significant, don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and reach out and ask somebody for help, ask somebody for their guidance, ask somebody who already knows what you want to learn and already has done what you want to do.
I love that. Nice work, Randy. Well said. Garrett, my friend, Garrett Kurtt, OneClickCode. What's a golden nugget?
I want to say I have a lot because I haven't been on 108 shows yet, so I got a lot to sift through in my mind what it is. I think just where I'm at right now and what I'm thinking about is, every day I wake up and I just say today's gonna be a great day, and it's a choice. It's really your choice. And that's your choice to make it for other people too. So when I meet an adjuster, it's my choice to help them make it a great day, help it remove that friction. Whoever I run into, whether it's a gas person, whatever it is, coming from a place of service is number one. And then also never regretting anything you did in the past, because you can't change the past. So why dwell and why regret? You can only learn, you can only spin it into your lemons, or it's basically your lemons in a lemonade. And my version of that is, screw that. Let's make a lemonade factory, right? Let's see how many lemons we can squeeze into this factory and how much juice we can make.
Love it. Lemonade
Spot
factory.
on. All the mindset. It's all about the mindset. You decide, right?
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining, guys. If you guys have not got on OneClickCode, make sure you can go on to the Google Store or the App Store. You can go to OneClickCode.com. Make sure you guys are getting signed up for OneClickCode. Garrett, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us on episode 108 of the Start Build Grow Show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for having us. Really appreciate it. And keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thank you, Garrett.
Take care, everyone. God bless.
See ya.